In a quiet, lazy village in rural Norfolk, where time seems to stand still and the locals enjoy the tranquil buzz of bees and the distant toll of church bells, the peace is being shattered by the unmistakable roar of an unexpected intruder.
Welcome to Rock Up Racing.
So my mum and I had been going to a car show in Suffolk called Heveningham Hall Concourse. It's attached to a country fair and it's got loads of really cool cars on display there. What attracted me to the show was the fact they have something called Horsepower Hill, which is essentially they get a lot of the cars from the display and then put them up this like no limits, full throttle hill climb. I'd been following their Instagram page and I saw that someone was bringing a Skyline powered Nissan Patrol, which I thought sounded like my dream car, so I thought it was really cool. So we went there. I couldn't see it anywhere. I didn't think it was there. Eventually we were sat in the crowd and then I heard this thing and I was like, wow, that sounds exactly like what I think it might be. And of course it was. It came through the crowd. I thought, fucking hell, that's amazing. I tried to swear too much, sorry. It's passion, you know. It went up the hill and it was like mind-blowing how much traction it had, how fast it was insane. So I had to run to the guy when he parked up. I said, look, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. If you ever want to sell it at some point, just let me know. And he wasn't too sure what he was going to do with it yet. I don't think he was sure he was going to sell it. So we exchanged numbers. I suppose 6 or 8 months passed and then I got a random message saying, are you still interested in it? So I basically sold everything I owned, went to go and view it. And yeah, the rest is history, really. So it's an RB25. It's actually a DE engine. It's not originally turbocharged. It's from an R34 Skyline. The crackle paint isn't my finest work, but it was blue when I first got it, and it was in fairly bad condition. So I decided to strip it back with some paint stripper and just paint it. But I was so excited near the end of the build to get it rebuilt. I didn't do the best job of it, but again, it kind of suits the character of the car anyway. It's got a Pulsar Gtx3076 turbocharger on it with a full 3-inch exhaust and an external wastegate coming out of the front wing. The truck itself makes between 400 and 500 horsepower. I haven't had it on a dyno recently. The gearbox is RB30. Essentially all the parts from any of the GTRs, the R32 especially, all bolt up to this, which is quite nice. So it's an RB30 Patrol gearbox, I believe. It's a Patrol gearbox anyway. And it's got the rear LSD, which is again shared from the R32 GTR, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think a lot of people can put people in groups, can group people when they don't realise how much time and money and effort it takes to get a car to the point to a vision that you've always had. And a lot of people, everyone's vision is different. A lot of people would, I think, find this really stupid, to be honest with you, because I don't know, I think a lot of people would say, to be honest with you, I've had a lot of people say to me, it seems a bit wasted in that truck, why don't you take the engine out and put it in a Skyline? And I think you'll appreciate, you guys watching this video, where I live anyway, is in the middle of the countryside. And if I'm going to have a Skyline, firstly, it's a lot more money. Secondly, I'm going to be worried constantly about where I'm leaving it. Because they get a lot of attention now and people are going to be interested in it, maybe for the wrong reasons sometimes. And a lot of the roads where I live are back road country single track roads, you meet someone going the other way on a blind corner, which you do tend to find, sometimes you meet like a bus or a coach or something, and I think a Skyline would possibly encourage me to drive it a little bit quicker. And you can't really get out of people's way sometimes, and it can be a little bit tricky, whereas this, you can put up banks, verges, it really doesn't matter so much. Living in the countryside, there's like a cult following for off-road vehicles as well. I think a huge amount of people have come up to me and said, like, this is the coolest thing ever, because they're into like pickups, Land Rovers, trucks, that kind of thing, and they love that. Whereas, as I say, I think a Skyline around here would be kind of wasted. It would, and the salt on the roads, I mean, the same thing goes for this, but again, I'd be way more precious over a Skyline than I would be with this. And my first drive was I bought it, and I had about a 45-minute drive back. I'll openly admit now, when I was driving it back, I had this last 2-mile stretch, and that was when I really decided I'm going to go through it, I'm going to go through the gears. It was dark, and I hit the limiter in second and third, and there was some big flames coming out the left, the screamer, and it was lighting up the road around me. And honestly, I felt a bit like, I know it's kind of embarrassing to say, but I had tears in my eyes. It was the most incredible thing I've ever experienced, and I was just so overwhelmed with the way it made me feel, and the whole journey it had gone to, from me seeing it, falling in love with it, obviously hearing about it before I'd even seen it online. That's why I decided to go that year, see if I could find it. And then, and yeah, going from there really, it's just got better and better, to be honest. I've learned to love it, I've learned to drive it. It's not the simplest thing to drive, but you can, once you get the hang of it, you can really exploit it without putting yourself in danger, obviously, with the brakes and suspension not being the most advanced things you've ever seen. You do have to plan ahead, like I say, but there is a knack to driving it quickly and to driving it safely, is still enjoying it.